everybody, how you doing? And welcome to episode 7 of the Hey Mike series. Today I'm going to go back to the Michael Day question that was sent over a few weeks ago and answer part number 3. So if you missed part 1, that was in episode 4, and the question was, which song did I never get to play live with Wishbone Ash but wish I had? Part 2 was in episode 6, and that question was, which was my least favourite song to play with the band, which there was a cheeky twist to that one, so hopefully you'll go back and enjoy those 2 episodes. But today I'm going to answer which was my favourite song to play live with the band, which has been a total head scratcher, but yes, I will get into it. Now before I do, if I could kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel, I'd be super grateful. It doesn't cost you anything at all, just means you'll be notified of when I put new videos up, and through the weird and wonderful ways of YouTube and algorithms and all that malarkey, it helps me reach a new audience, hopefully people with similar interests in drums and music, etc. And it might just help me grow the channel. So if you do that for me, I'd be super grateful. All right, let's get into it. So which was my favourite song to play with the band? Well, do you know what? In the end, I got it down to 3. I kind of got it down to the top 3. And the way I thought about it in the end was, if I got a phone call from Andy and he said, "Hey Mike, do you want to come back and just play one more song with the band, but you can choose?" That's how I kind of thought about it in the end. And I thought that's a good way of thinking about it. So I'll mention the other 2, talk about them very briefly, although I could talk about them for hours, and then I'll mention the song. So the first song I'll mention is "Where the World." It's kind of I enjoyed playing it, but it also has a special meaning for me because it was the first song I ever played with the band in soundcheck when I was officially in the band. So in February 2022, when I was in the band and my first gig was at the Bull Run up near Boston, Massachusetts. Once everything was all set up and we were ready to rock and roll, the first song I played in a soundcheck was "Way of the World." And I can remember being incredibly nervous, but also incredibly excited, not just to play the song, but to just get going with the tour and be part of the band. And yeah, it was great. It took a little while for me to kind of like bed in with it, as it did with a lot of things. I think I mentioned in the last video about just getting used to touring, being away, being a professional drummer, all those kind of things. After leaving my job at Yamaha, so it took me a little while. But once we kind of bedded on it, and I kind of felt really comfortable with it, I felt I could kind of embellish on the parts a little bit. I always tried to honour Steve Upton with this song a lot, using a lot of his drum fills and parts, but it still left room for a little bit of Mike, So it was a great song to play live. It's full of energy and very dynamic. I loved it. Absolutely loved playing "Way of the World." Now, the second song I'll mention which is not going to surprise you because you'd be surprised if I didn't mention it, is "Phoenix." Phoenix for me, again, incredibly dynamic. Starts, obviously after the floor tom roll, starts, very quiet and just has that beautiful kind of mystique about it, and it just slowly builds and evolves, through the song until it kind of takes off. Mark's flying on the guitar, Andy's there, Bob's, everybody's just doing their thing, and it just, absolutely fantastic. And do you know what the great thing about playing Phoenix is? You never really knew where it was going to go. We put new riffs in, we changed things. There was little drum, little parts in the end. Wasn't a drum solo as such, but there was like a little feature bit of drum thing. Sometimes it would be there, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes, Andy would go in a different direction. So you never knew where the song was going to go, and it was just an amazing song to play live. I absolutely loved it. Again, I have a great memory of that when I stepped in for that first show I played, with many will know the story, the 2 hours to spare thing when I just rocked up at Leeds, played a quick sound check, and then played the show in Leeds and then Bury and Holmfirth. That first night in Leeds, as much as I was absolutely bricking it, I was also so excited to play Phoenix because I love that song. So yeah, that has special meaning. But again, there was never a night where you were bored of playing Phoenix. You never thought, "Oh, really, Phoenix?" I mean, like, that's not going to happen with that song. So great song to play live. But the song that if I could only play one more song with the band, which would it be? Which was my favourite? I'm going to have to say FUBB. I think as a song, it represents the band brilliantly. If somebody said to me, "Mike, what was the name of that band you played in?" What are they like? I'd say, "Oh, listen to FUBB. That'll give you a really good idea." Because, it starts again dynamically very kind of low, steady groove, me and Bob, just kind of locking it in, which I always, loved doing that. Just, playing, I was just playing really steady and slow, Bob playing that funky groove. And then again, it just evolved and it built up. Andy and Mark, do their thing until, of course, we reach that kind of disco section. And again, it, like Phoenix in many ways, it takes off and it goes in a different direction. But as a song, I think it represents the band brilliantly. It showcases the band brilliantly. You hear, Bob do his thing and lay down his groove. You've got Mark playing solos, Andy playing solos, and you've got the twin guitar element as well. And for me to be able to sit there and watch that unfold every night we played it was a genuine pleasure. It was brilliant, absolutely awesome. From a drummer perspective, for me as a player, I loved playing it because, again, it started steady and then it went into like that disco groove. And actually, if you saw me on the last UK tour I did, you may have seen that on my left-hand side, I had an electronic drum pad, which I actually took it off so I could show you. Which is this thing. It's called a Roland SPD, or SPD SX Pro is its full name. This thing was to my left-hand side, and I started to incorporate percussion patterns. So my right hand was playing the groove once we got into the quicker section, and my left hand was playing congas and bongos. And that wasn't to try and be a smart aleck or anything. That was because the original tune had that percussive element, and I knew Andy really liked that element of the song, and I just was trying to work on a way I could incorporate some percussive element into the song without it being a backing track, without it being like a loop that we'd have to kind of like stick to and regiment to, because once you do that, you can't go off from it. You have to stick. And I'm like, I don't really want to do a loop. I want to be able to play the parts independently. So if we go off in a different direction, I can do that, and that was great because, it was a challenge, playing one thing with your, playing basically percussion patterns with my left hand whilst keeping a drum kit part going with my right hand was a great challenge, and I really enjoyed it. It taught me more about electronics and how to incorporate them into live playing because I'd not done a huge amount of that. So that was another great part of that song. But, just musically, just the song, it was great. I just think it kind of sums up Wishbone brilliantly. And so, if I could just play one more song with them, that's the song it would be. Hence, I think it's fair to say that would be my favourite song to play live. I could talk about that song forever. I could dissect it and go through it all, and it's, such a fun song to play. Hopefully that answers the third and final part to your question, Mr. Day. Thank you for sending it over. I really, really appreciate it. If you would like to ask me a Hey Mike, please feel free to do so in the questions or in the comments, should I say, below, or send me an email through mike@truscottdrums.com. And then, we'll keep making these videos because they've been a lot of fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Like I say, if you want to hear part 1 and part 2, that's episode 4 and episode 6. But for now, I will say cheerio. I'm going to finish my coffee, and actually I've got a little bit of practice to do and some preparation to do. So I'm going to get on with that. So anyway, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.